I hate nihilism. A brave statement, I know. Most normal people probably shouldn't be very enticed by what nihilism has to offer as an ideology, and I absolutely hate even the small amounts of it that have built up culturally over the last couple of years. Although I feel that nihilism can amplify the meaning in the things we do, or in this instance in the games we play. The Walking Dead by Telltale Games being one of the many examples of that, because it shows in every conceivable way how the futility of an action can result in deep and meaningful insight we wouldn't be able to see otherwise. The story is one of inevitability, or how pointless it's all become. The gameplay likes to posture that your actions have meaning, but that's absolutely not the case. And ultimately, the next 10 minutes of me bitching about it aren't going to do much to influence your opinion on it, nor is it really going to matter when it comes to this game's future. And I think there is a real beauty in that observation, but the way it's demonstrated in The Walking Dead is something I haven't seen elsewhere. Although, there are probably examples of it I just haven't played. Because while I can sit here ranting and raving about how the game fails at providing me with the agency to affect the people, the environment, or the story that Lee Everett is inseparable from, I think it's all made nullified by the fact that The Walking Dead is bursting with meaning, even in areas I don't think the developers had truly intended. The crux of The Walking Dead is about the tough choices people make in life or death situations. I think that's kind of obvious to say, so naturally, the real content of the game is more or less about the choices you make with the people you're grouping with. How will your actions affect the group? Who do you side with on a particular issue? Which people do you prioritize when the chips are down? That is what The Walking Dead attempts to capitalize on. Instead of watching a character on a TV screen make those decisions, you yourself get to make them, and then deal with the fallout of those actions. That's what saves you from this of death. Why? Actually, why? Fucking good question. Not the first one to say this, but the way it's executed lacks depth. More often than not, the game frustrates me far more than engaging me with the way it likes to portray its agency versus how it actually treats the player's agency. There are many big choices to be made from episode to episode, but rarely do those choices pan out as being narrative changing or beneficial enough to you when they come up again in game. Lily in episode 3 shoots and kills either Doug or Carly, depending on a choice in episode 1.
Now, what the fuck's the problem?
For essentially no reason.
I should have sided with Kenny, bruh. God damn.
Your choice to either leave her on the side of the road or take her with you is one that doesn't really make sense for one, and two is entirely inconsequential to the story at hand. I feel like there's no person on planet Earth that seriously thinks that taking this piece of shit with you is the correct option, but ultimately, if you decide to do it anyway, which should be your choice to make, your agency is very quickly revoked from you before you even have the chance to really sit down and talk about what she did. She steals the RV from you in literally the next scene. An act that doesn't really harm or benefit you, nor does it impact the story almost at all. It feels like the developers expected you to leave her, but just in case you made the choice to keep her, they ensured that no matter what, she wouldn't be a part of the next couple episodes. In that case, what's the point of giving me the choice to take her? The stranger in episode 5 is the owner of this little station wagon with tons of supplies in it. Your group stole all the supplies within, dooming the stranger's family to die in the woods. He kidnaps Clementine and confronts you about it in episode 5. The choice presented to you in episode 2 is whether or not Lee and Clementine take part in the pillaging of this stash. It's intended to present a moral question about looting from other people. There are multiple factors swaying your opinion, whether it be the desperate starvation of the group leading them to take it, and Clementine saying it isn't really the right thing to do. The choice in the end is ultimately yours. When you make it, you're forced to own it in its entirety. When we finally come back around to how impactful that decision is in episode 5, he basically tells us, yeah, I don't fucking care, mate.
I didn't take from you.
Your people didn't?
I didn't agree with it.
That's real good of you.
Whether you take from the station wagon in episode 2 or not, you end up in the exact same situation. The fact that Lee and Clementine either did or did not take from him means very little to him in the moment. In fact, not taking the stash, because of this moment, becomes entirely negative, because you lose out on this cute jumper for Clementine. In that case, what is the point of giving me the choice to take it? Ben in episode 4 tells Kenny that he was the reason his wife and son both died in the raid from episode 3. In doing so, he causes a shitstorm between the group and loses the will to live, offering himself as bait for the walkers chasing the group through this bell tower. You're given the choice to save him or drop him below to help the people behind you survive. Regardless if you save or kill him, he dies either in that bell tower or in an alley behind the hideout. In that case, what is the point of giving... The pointlessness in these choices angers me sometimes, because it feels very limiting. In some instances, the way the game handles you making choices it doesn't account for actually feels so hurtful that it never really feels like you make the correct choice. This sounds good on paper and is a real theme of other games like Darkwood, but it's not executed well here because it feels like there's no choice that would meaningfully affect the outcome of any given scenario. I never chose to kill Carly, and I don't get the option to do something to help her, yet she dies anyway. Leaving Lily is just that little bit of retribution against this piece of shit because Carly deserved far more than just to be left in a ditch. But no matter what I do, leave or not, Lily is still alive. She comes back in the final season to haunt Clementine like a spectre. I feel like the most of these big choices are kind of secondary afterthoughts to the narrative throughout the game. If you make a choice that the game doesn't account for, it's always going to correct for it later down the line. Letting Lily stay is something it doesn't account for, so she leaves regardless of your choice. Taking from the stash does nothing to convince the stranger that maybe you aren't as bad as he thought. He doesn't care. No matter what, you're still a monster to him. Letting Ben die just gets him out of the way faster. It only really changes whether or not Kenny disappears through this alley or sacrifices himself in this hole, which within itself is another guaranteed end to a character you should have the ability to save. But then again, he also comes back in season 2 no matter what. So I feel like this represents The Walking Dead and how it plays out really well. The story that plays out only ends in one way, and getting there depends on certain prerequisites being met so that it makes sense for things to end this way. More often than not, it has to compromise on the agency it provides you to do that, resulting in a game that feels like an illusion. The choices you make, even just small ones between friends or group members, or disgusting fucking murderer pieces of shit like Lily, feel inconsequential. In my playthrough, I played a straight, no bullshit Lee that told the truth and tried to help out every time the option was presented with me, even when I really shouldn't have.
Lily runs a pretty tight ship. Her and her dad are ex-military.
The only lie I ever told, which isn't even really a lie to be honest, it's barely a fib, I guess more of a white lie, was that Clementine was Lee's daughter.
She's your daughter?
Yeah, she's probably already wondering where I am.
I said this to Vernon in exchange for medical help, and this piece of shit had the nerve to ask Lee to take Clementine.
I'll take her off your hands. Take her back with me, to my people.
He also somehow said I wasn't straight with them, that I was self-absorbed, whatever the fuck. The worst part about it is that he asks to take Clementine, regardless if you had a positive relationship with him or not. Shouldn't his view of me change the way he feels? Because of how much emphasis The Walking Dead puts on its story and dialogue, the gameplay resembles a point-and-click adventure game. Although a very shallow one at that, because the gameplay is what I can best describe as functional, because I feel like it only really serves to get to the dialogue. Time to put the controller down and enjoy gameplay. Hands are off the fucking steering wheel. Hands are off the steering wheel, no bullshit.
Hey,
Okay, we're locked
so
in now.
what happened at the camp?
There aren't many secrets or things to miss when walking around other than optional conversations with people from the group, which again, while posture that they are important almost never come up in game, you can't make any real decisions with it, you can't find stuff that'll help unless it's part of the story, and even in the moments where it makes you fight someone or use your reflexes as part of a story moment, it's usually unfailable without a game over. Oh my fucking... Did I not mouse? And doesn't really give you differing outcomes based on how well or poorly you perform. In some cases, progression is dependent on you playing all it has to offer. Because of that, I think replaying The Walking Dead can be quite grating at times, which I don't think is bad on its own, although it's a smaller negative that reinforces a larger problem with the series as a whole. The only reason to keep playing The Walking Dead is its dialogue. The moments between characters and the story itself is deeply engaging, though the choices you make being a part of the gameplay worsen the experience because of how inconsequential it is, which kind of gives me no reason to play this game at all from start to finish. What's the point in replaying this game when there's no real tangible game to play? The Walking Dead probably could have been simplified to a visual novel, or a comic book, or a TV show, and the game would be no different for it. The thing is, I think most players understand and accept most of what I've said. In fact, it's somewhat cliche and probably painfully annoying to hear me rip into the game for the last however many minutes this video is going to be. Because while I think there's no reason to go back and play The Walking Dead if you've experienced it already, here I am, 12 years later, in my room, playing the game I've already played twice on multiple platforms, watched from start to finish multiple times, and now bitched about for about 17 minutes. What's the point? There is none. There is no reason. No reason to go back and play, no reason to go rewatch, and no reason to bitch about it. And because of that, the futility of your actions in the game only emphasize the impact they have in the narrative. Yeah, I know, not stealing from the wagon doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of the narrative. It doesn't really help me reason with the stranger. He's far too delusional and blinded by revenge to understand the small compassion I tried to show him in that moment. In fact, it might not have even been a show of compassion at all. Anything I didn't take was probably pillaged by the other 6 people there. But I still won't take it. Why? Because it's not about how it functionally changes the story, or how it benefits you in the long run. It's about how those choices reinforce the relationships with the people around you. A key theme of The Walking Dead as a whole is keeping your humanity in spite of the grim and horrifying circumstances. I believe that the same can be applied to the games regardless of whether my actions make a difference or not. I think that the small choices we get to make in the games, whether positive, negative, or pointless, are still meaningful. Why do anything productive or interesting when the unstoppable march of time will most likely wipe your actions clean from this place and any other place you visit? Almost as if you never existed. The answer is, who cares? Oh my fucking god, who cares? The people you talk to and the things you do to help those same people is what makes the game worth playing. Kenny fucks up a good chunk throughout this game. Because of that, he's prone to giving Lee a hard time. But in the end, he's a mate. The encouragement and appreciation I can give him makes his life that little bit easier. The moments I did have with him, where we did see eye to eye, were really touching. Why would I throw that away because it doesn't change the story? Why would I throw away those conversations I had, even with people I didn't like, just to prove some stupid point that being silent at every option is the same as picking a normal option? The facts are, it isn't. The game becomes so much more fulfilling when you realize that while the futility of your actions can be frustrating, even just simply talking to characters like Carly, Kenny, and especially Clementine have the ability to fully immerse and enrich the game story in a way that doesn't happen very often in games generally. Doesn't matter what I do to Lily, she comes back in Season 4. That doesn't mean I'm ever going to keep her around. In fact, I will leave this bitch here every single time the choice is presented to me. And I'll go kill her fucking bitch ass in Season 4 too. Ben's death is predetermined. There is no way of saving him in any shape or form. Yet, saving him here opens up so much more dialogue and an opportunity for Ben to share his pain with the group, leading Kenny to 180 his opinions on him almost entirely, going from wanting to kill him,
Lee should have left you in Crawford. Fuck you, Kenny!
to risking his life to try and save him.
Glad it was you making that call and not me.
How's this?
Back, you sons of bitches!
That's another deep beauty of the choices you make in-game, whether they matter or not. The fact that it shows the true character of the people you group with. This conversation with the stranger is the best in the game. Maybe the series, full stop. And it doesn't affect anything. All it's about is understanding who the stranger is and choosing yourself whether to open up to him, reject what he's saying entirely, or ignore him. All of which leads to the very same outcome. I said that multiple aspects of this video were pointless. I meant that. While I think my opinion is valid, it is not going to influence people to dislike this game, and I didn't want it to. The criticism I levy in the end is made pointless by many different aspects to the game itself, and to an extent my feelings about it too. Because there is one relationship that is omnipresent throughout the entirety of the game, regardless of what playthrough you do. No matter what you do, you cannot change the way your actions affect Clementine's relationship with Lee. No matter what, she physically cannot be forced to hate Lee, creating a relationship between the two that is definitionally unbreakable, and it's the best decision the devs ever made. The Walking Dead as a series is an exercise in futility, but one I feel radiates a deep sense of beauty without it really trying.